Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. There's a lot of recent reports lately in Rams training camp talking about how not only all of the Rams players, but the Rams coaches are really impressed with what Stetson Bennett has brought to the table thus far. Let me dive into Stetson Bennett a little bit today, and let me tell you guys why, in my opinion, he's a little bit underrated and a little bit overhated. So Stetson Bennett was a full-time starter for 2 years at Georgia in 2021 and in 2022, and of course he was a national champion in both years. And so in 2021, as a 24-year-old winning the national championship, it seemed as though he had zero potential to even be drafted in the NFL draft, as in this season he played more of that point guard role. Of course, Georgia was known for their incredible defense that year. Looking at his stats, he put up 2,862 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So pretty solid stats, but nothing eye-popping. And his tape showed a good, competent, smart, cerebral quarterback with a little bit of mobility, but that's about it. Not a draftable prospect, right? Well, he kind of changed the perception around him, in my opinion. In 2022, not only did he come fourth in Heisman voting, but he put up significantly better stats. And in my opinion, his tape actually looked really good and is the reason why he was a draftable prospect in this year's NFL draft. So he put up 4,128 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions in 2022. And of course, he did do this as a 25-year-old. In October of this season, in his rookie year, he will be 26 years old, which is a reason I think he gets a lot of hate. I'll be honest, I really like the year in and year out growth that Stetson Bennett showed to the coaching staff at Georgia in order to get the starting nod for the starting job. He's a guy who grinded really hard and beat out some 4 to 5 star prospects at the quarterback position, and that's absolutely nothing to scoff at. The main reason I wanted to make this video, and really the main point of this video, is something that was so obvious to me when watching Stetson Bennett in 2021 and 2022, and I don't think this is talked about enough. Let's say you have a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, right? You have a guy like Jalen Hurts. You have a guy like Joe Burrow. These guys have superstar teammates, and that's really the perception around Stetson Bennett. The vast difference between a lot of NFL quarterbacks who come from incredible programs such as Georgia, Alabama, and LSU, and Stetson Bennett is that Stetson Bennett's superstar talent was on defense, whereas these guys, they were on offense. Let me break it down for you guys. When you watch Stetson Bennett's tape, it is such a misconception. I think the misconception is that there's a bunch of guys running wide open. There's guys taking 1-yard screens 60 yards to the house. This is absolutely not the case. In fact, Stetson Bennett, the second he walks into the NFL, no matter what team he went to, of course he did end up going to the Rams with Cooper Kupp and company, no matter what team he went to, he was going to have a better receiving core and a better group of weapons, a better running back room than whatever he had at Georgia. In 2021 and in 2022, Georgia did not have an NFL caliber group in terms of the skill position players. In 2021, the only NFL caliber receiver that Georgia even had on the roster was George Pickens. And of course, George Pickens is a phenomenal talent. But of course, in 2021, George Pickens didn't really even play. He only caught 5 passes from Stetson Bennett in this year, so he doesn't even count. James Cook, a guy I think is drastically overrated. I think at this point, people don't think James Cook is that good. I thought he was very overrated coming out of the draft. He did have 27 catches in this year, but other than that, their tight end has led the Georgia Bulldogs in receptions and receiving yards over the past 2 seasons. It of course is Bowers, and Bowers is a guy who is good. He's steady, he's solid, but he's not someone with an insane amount of physical talent. Darnell Washington was also a guy who Stetson Bennett had in 2022. He's someone I'm just not crazy about, to be completely honest. His route running, agility, and change of direction genuinely is some of the worst I've seen out of a tight end in a pretty long time. But looking at Stetson Bennett, he's a guy who has very underrated athleticism. His creation and play extension, not only behind the line of scrimmage, but beyond the line of scrimmage, is really nice. He's 5'11", in at 195 pounds, and he's more so built like a running back than a quarterback, and that really plays in terms of his athleticism and mobility. And undoubtedly, his best tape is on those plays where he gets to display that mobility, mainly when he's having those play action boots under center or those RPOs from shotgun. He does a really nice job of being extremely decisive with what he's going to do. And Stetson really does have a sufficient amount of physical talent from a mobility perspective and from a arm talent and a throw power perspective to make all the throws and all of the plays that he does desire to make. He's a guy who comes into the NFL in this Rams training camp immediately with a pretty high floor and a ceiling because he has shown the ability throughout his college career to have a significant amount of growth, and that's something that does project very nicely into the NFL. I know the Brock Purdy comparison is very lazy at this point and it's a bit overused, but he really does remind me of Brock Purdy, a guy who can go in and conceptualize and grasp an NFL playbook right away. I get it, some people don't like his attitude, some people don't like his taste in music, but come on, you're not going to be dating the guy. He's your NFL quarterback of your favorite team. So if I was a Rams fan, I'd be pretty content with having Stetson Bennett as a backup. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Stetson Bennett, and thanks for listening to the video, guys.